Hi class, first traditional session of the semester. So we have just practiced our assessment and achieved our results. And now we're gonna flow right into all of the workouts, so all of the sessions. Remember just a few things about this. You do not submit anything after you've watched and practiced and followed through with the video, okay? The only time you're going to submit anything back to me is when you respond to your weekly connection, which you'll have one coming up this week, as well as the next time that we assess. So other than that, you are just opening up the video, you are creating your space, making sure that you have a mat, and then you're just watching and following along. And then when the video is done, the video is done. So it's pretty cool how, I am able to connect with you through this platform of Canvas Studio. So it will track your viewing. So make sure that you get that done each week. Remember that everything is due to be watched and practiced and submitted weekly connections by Sunday evening at 11:55, okay? So just want to be real clear about that before we get started. The sessions, so because we typically have 4 sessions per week because it's an 8-week semester, this week we have 3 because of the assessment. So because of the holiday, I'm going to actually reduce that by 1. So we're going to have the assessment, and then we're going to have 2 of the videos of the sessions, and then a weekly connection, which will be due by Sunday evening. Starting next week, we're going to start from Monday opening the video to Sunday having everything done, which will be 4 sessions, okay? So just because of the holiday, it's a shortened week. Today, really going to focus on some real basic technique fundamentals of what we are going to practice. Typically what will happen is I will introduce the exercises the first time through the session, and then we will repeat everything that we've learned the first time through. Today, because I'm really slowing it down, we may only get through it 1 time, just for time constraints, okay? So keeping in mind the guiding principles, so I did upload that form or that series, that information that I showed you, the guiding principles and Mat Pilates. Today we're really covering breathing, so our breath, we tackled it a little bit with the breathing, duration, assessment, exercise, but today we are practicing proper breathing with proper movement, okay? So breathing, really important today. Obviously, center is important for stabilizing and centering our mind, but also centering our body and making sure that we're slowing everything down. We're not in any rush to do anything in this class, okay? And because I'm not able to see you real time and give you, feedback or check your form, I'm relying on you to follow along and listen to the cues and do the best that you can. But of course, if anything ever is painful, you want to stop immediately, okay? Just be very careful with your body in the beginning because you're going to have soreness, okay? And especially in the neck and shoulder region. A lot of you who have been away from any activity, you're going to have a lot of soreness in your abdominal wall, and that's totally normal. But nothing should be painful, okay? Besides, outside of our breathing and our center, we'll really go back and forth between, our focus or concentration on each exercise and what our body is doing and how we are moving and what muscles are being used. So, you'll hear me cue you in on focusing on, a certain region of your body. So that takes listening. So make sure that you're listening and understanding what I'm practicing. Control just really has to do with slowing it down and really just controlling our breathing, controlling our movement, and controlling our form, you know, really. Flow will come eventually. There will be flow within each exercise that you learn, but as far as flow with transitioning from one exercise to the next and creating some rhythm, that will eventually come, okay? And of course, precision is very important. Our precise movements in mat Pilates, really important to the learning process, okay? So for us to be able to move into another level of exercise, we want to be able to have a better understanding of each movement, and that really requires precise movement, correct movement, okay? So a lot of stabilization going on. We don't ever leave our mat, but we will be in different positions. And so just make sure that you have a good, comfortable mat for support of your spine and your back. And if anything ever hurts, just reach out to me and, you know, request maybe some modifications, but I will start out very slow today, okay? All right, so breathing. So when we are breathing during our workouts, it's not always going to be the same. There's going to be times where we are coordinating our breathing with our movement. And that just simply means maybe we extend our legs and we're exhaling at that time, and then we're pulling that leg back in and we're inhaling. But a lot of times you'll hear me just nice fluid breathing. And so that just simply means it's rhythmic, it's continuous. We never hold our breath in here. And so we want to breathe in such a way that we're getting the most out of the oxygen levels in our body. And so we want to breathe inhaling as deeply as possible and slowly exhaling as big as possible. Again, controlling the pace of the breathing is really important. Whether or not you breathe in through your nose, in through your mouth, out through your nose, out through your mouth is totally up to you, okay? But, you know, there's going to be times where I say, bring your focus back to your breathing. And so a lot of times that's a really good time to judge or check yourself, how am I breathing right now? Because typically we don't really focus on how we're breathing. So you'll hear me focus or take your focus back to breathing, okay? We're gonna start out with some breathing exercises with some movement. And so we're gonna warm up always, we will always warm up. And our first exercise is going to be chest expansion. This exercise, we are going to practice coordinating breathing with movement. However, we need to talk about scooping or hollowing. And so I like to call it scooping in here. And that just simply means that if you are tall in your posture and you're kneeling or standing and I ask you to scoop, you're simply pulling your abdominal wall inward towards your spine with a slight tilt of your hips forward, and your upper middle back is rounding. So we're scooping, we're hollowing, we're pulling, we're sucking in, okay? But that's the word we're going to use, is scooping. So we are rounding our back. So I'm not pitching forward with my trunk. I'm just simply changing position of my spine. Okay, so from here, we're going to extend our arms out about shoulder height, and I'm going to round my arms forward as I scoop. My head drops slightly. You'll see the change, the position of the spine. I extend my arms back, my trunk is tall, and I'm rounding forward and scooping. So you'll start to feel that lower back, that lumbar area start to warm up. You'll feel some warmth, some heat in that area. Now breathing, let's inhale on the close. Exhale on the expansion. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more. Inhale and exhale. All right, so we're gonna practice that scooping and the breathing with an exercise called cat and cow. So hands and knees, we are going to round the back. So we're scooping. So that just simply means that our glutes, our hips are engaged and pulling forward as I press the middle of my back up towards the ceiling. I'm pulling my abdominal muscles up towards the ceiling with my spine. Head comes down. And then I'm going to lower my abdomen and arch my back slightly as my head comes up, okay? So there's a tilt in the pelvis upward or back, and then I am tilting the pelvis down and under as I scoop. All right, so we are going to exhale here on the cow and cat. We're inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. One more. Inhale and exhale. Good. So we're going to go into an exercise called dynamic. So I'm just going to bring my hands slightly forward, and I'm going to bring my hips down with my back flat, and I'm going to pull back, hips back, with head down. This is what I call low back stretch, okay? Or child's pose for yoga, but I call it low back stretch in Pilates. So we come forward, head up, and down, head down. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good. Okay, so from here, we're going to go ahead and come to a seated position. Now, we're going to practice our 100 exercise, and that 100 exercise is an exercise that we had in our assessment. So it was the second exercise that we tested right after that breathing. We went right into what's called the 100. So this is a warm-up exercise of our breathing and movement, okay? The 100 we practiced or tested with our legs extended. So we are going to start with our legs bent. So it's a little bit different to start. So anytime we come down to our backs from a seated position, we want to always practice that scooping. And so every time we practice scooping, rounding our back, engaging those abdominal muscles, using those pelvic floor muscles, which we'll talk about in a little bit, it's good. It's really good for us. We become stronger because of it, and practice is always good for repetition. So we're going to go ahead and scoop, and we're going to connect our lower back to the mat, middle back to the mat, and bring our knees in. Okay? So our 100 exercise, if you can remember, when we did this exercise, we had our legs extended and we were pumping, correct? Okay. So what we're doing today is knees are going to be bent, right about 90-degree bend in the knees, and we're going to keep that position of our legs. So just to be very clear, that anytime when we lift our head up off of the mat, we want to lower our chin to our chest so that our neck is rounded, and our shoulder blades should be up off of the floor as well, and those should be rounded or hunched forward, which simply means that once that happens, you're going to feel those abdominal muscles start to engage, and that's when we want to scoop. So we are scooping on our backs, which simply means that we are pulling those abdominal muscles down or inward, and we're pressing that back down to the mat, and we're going to hold that position while we practice our 100, okay? So go ahead and lift head and shoulders up, chin to chest, engage, scoop, 90-degree bend in the knees, arms extended, palms facing down. We're going to go ahead and begin. So we have 5 pumps for inhale, 5 pumps for exhale, 5 for inhale, 5 for exhale, 5 for inhale, 5 exhale, 5 inhale, 5 exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Check your scooping, inhale. Ooh, it's windy. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last 10. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Head down, feet down. Okay, so if you weren't able to complete the entire 100 and you stopped prior to me stopping, that's fine. So we're just going to improve upon that number hopefully every day. We do practice the 100 every single day, or every single session, I should say. Okay, so again, practicing, really good. Again, you will feel this neck fatigue, which is totally normal. The next warm-up exercise are leg circles. We will do this in two different positions. We'll alternate, okay? This one today is on our backs. The other will be a seated leg circle warm-up. So on our backs today, just to warm up the top of our legs. So we have at the lower end of our pelvis, we have our top of our quadricep and our groin area. We're going to warm up that region. Lower abdominals as well because our leg is elevated. And so we're just going to simply put our arms down at our sides because the leg is doing the work. So we're just isolating the leg. So I'm going to extend my leg up, but I'm going to slightly bend my knee and I'm going to open my leg at an angle so that my right foot is facing towards 2 o'clock or my left foot is facing towards 10 o'clock, if that makes sense, okay? Keeping a slight bend of the knee. The other leg is bent and grounded, foot on the floor. Keeping my rear on the floor, my lower back on the floor. I am going to circle, small circle. The entire leg circles, maintaining this open angle bent leg position. So you'll notice my entire leg is circling. I don't start out too big. I want to start out small just to warm up this region here at the top of the hip, okay? Now, I'm going to reverse. Go the opposite direction, maintaining the position, breathing. Good, and leg down. So we're going to switch legs. So a lot of exercises that we do in Pilates have to do with leg movement. So we want to definitely warm this region up. Leg is straight, then we slightly bend, and then we open the hip and we circle. And we're going to reverse, staying in control of the pace. You'll notice it's more of a strength exercise. We're not trying to create too much momentum or unnecessary movement in the body. All right, and leg down. Good. Okay, so we're going to start with an exercise called single leg. And this single leg exercise, single leg stretch, was the first exercise as part of our Fab 5 workout that we tested for. Today we're going to modify it. So there's so many variations of every exercise that we practice in here, and those 5 exercises as part of the Fab 5, there's so much that we can do to be creative within just those 5 exercises. So that's going to happen in here. So every day pretty much is how I've created a different version of single leg stretch, okay? So today we have single leg stretch with one leg grounded and one leg working. All right, so head is up off the mat, making sure chin to chest, shoulders are rounded. We are scooping with our abdominal wall, pressing that lower back down into the mat, and we're going to have one leg do the work and the other leg stays still or static, okay? Breathing is continuous. We're not coordinating any breathing with the movement. We're just going to continuously breathe comfortably, okay? Go ahead and bring your head and shoulders up. We're scooping. I'm going to bring my right knee in first, hands over the knee here, and I'm simply going to extend my leg. Do not touch the floor. I'm going to pull the knee in, gently pull it in line with the hip, and let it go. And pull. We're scooping. We're breathing. One more. And switch. Head down, rest your head for a moment. Bring the other knee in. Lift up, scoop. All right, we're going to extend. Pull it back in. Again, controlling the move. It's very simple. Scooping. Breathing. Notice my trunk stays still, the leg does the movement. Good. Last one. And rest. Nice. Okay. Second exercise of the Fab 5 is double leg. I'm going to modify that today as well. This position is both legs doing the work. Obviously, it's double leg, okay? But in the Fab 5, we would extend the legs out and then pull the legs back in. Today, we're going to do it a little bit differently, okay? Go ahead and bring both knees in. Head and shoulders up. All right. From here, instead of extending the legs out, I'm going to drop the feet down. So it looks like this, with my arms out and knees in, okay? So make sure you're centering yourself. So just make sure that you're slowing down the movement, scooping. Here we go. Drop the legs, pull the legs. I like to exhale through the work, which is dropping the legs. One more. Good. All right. Head down, feet down. Good. All right, so we're going to go into what's called a bridge exercise. And the bridge exercise is great for lower back strengthening, glute strengthening, and hamstring strengthening especially, okay? However, not only that, but we are really practicing what I call stabilizing. And so we're really trying to stabilize our, our trunk so that it's nice and strong when we bridge. And so that requires you to activate your abdominal wall. And so making sure that we're tightening or holding or scooping, right? Those muscles as well. So there is some coordination of muscle groups here to be activated at the same time. So we're going to bring our arms down at our sides, just alongside our hips here. I'm sure you've bridged before, but maybe just a different version of it when you're really focusing on activating certain muscles, okay? So I'm going to lift my hips up off of the mat. As soon as I lift my hips off of the mat, I'm going to engage my quads and my hamstrings, tightening my glutes, okay? I'm going to pull my abdominal wall down and in and hold this position here, okay? So if you put your hands up here on the top of your legs, your quadriceps, you should feel strength. The hamstrings, feel strength. Feel strength in the glutes. You should feel tightness or strength in the abdominal wall. So this is stabilized here, okay? It's a held position. It's isometric, so we're not dynamic here. And then we're going to go ahead and lower slowly and let the tension go. Okay. This time we're going to coordinate our breathing. So I want you to lift and exhale. All right, here we go. Lift up, exhale. Activate. And lower. Inhale. Lift and exhale. Activate. And lower. Inhale. Up, exhale. Lower and inhale. Good. Good. So it's amazing what focus can do for you, right? Okay, so the next exercise today is a modified crisscross. So in the crisscross in the Fab 5, the traditional crisscross, we had a leg extension and then we were rotating across towards the bent knee. Just like with the single leg, we had the leg extension, but not today, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and modify this crisscross with bent leg drop. So this is just like with the double leg that we did earlier, okay? Go ahead and bring both knees in. Lift your head and shoulders up off the mat. I want you to go ahead and bring your hands behind your neck here. And from here, I'm going to drop my right foot down, keeping the leg bent as I rotate slightly towards my left knee. Pull it back to center. Drop my left foot, rotate towards my right knee slightly. Bring it back to center. So we are scooping, we are breathing continuously. In control of our pace. Back glutes are connected to the mat. That's how we stay centered and balanced. Shoulder blades stay off the floor. And we're simply just rotating across the rib cage. How's your breathing? How's your scooping? Good. And rest. Nice job. Okay, next we have modified double straight leg. Okay, so the fifth exercise in that Fab 5, we did what was called a double straight, and both legs lowered at the same time in a straight position, an extended position, and then we lifted. Okay, today we're going to modify that. We'll modify for quite a bit with this exercise because I want you to improve upon your strength. And this is a tough one with two legs off the floor and straight. Go ahead and start with your legs extended all the way up. Go ahead and lift your head and shoulders up off the mat. Bring your hands again behind your neck. Now, keeping those shoulder blades up off of the mat, scooping from here, I am going to bend my knees and extend my legs. pull my knees in, lift my legs up. Breathing continuously. I like to exhale as I extend my legs out and pulling back in. Inhale at the top, and then I like to exhale as I again extend. Staying scooped. Good. All right, feet down, head down. Nice. All right, so that's called modified double straight. We're going to practice what's called a roll up, and we've actually tested for roll up, but we tested roll up as a traditional roll up. So our legs were extended and our arms were outstretched behind our heads. Some of you weren't able to complete a full roll up, and that's completely understandable at this point. We are going to practice a roll up differently today, and we're going to modify it. So slight bend of the knees. Arms start at our sides, and we're just going to practice what's called a roll-up hold, okay? And so we're practicing that head, shoulders, scooping, and lifting with chin to chest movement, okay? So this is what I want you to do. I want you to bring your head up off the mat, shoulders up off the mat, chin to chest, scoop, press that back down into the mat, reach forward and hold. Exhale. Now I want you to come down slowly. Back down to start. Okay? Let's try that again. Ready? Up. And down. Inhale at the bottom, exhale up, and down. Good. Okay, so we were focusing on everything from our abdominal wall up, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to include our pelvis, okay? Our glutes and our pelvic floor muscles. And so deep inside our pelvis, we have these muscles that we are going to try and activate. So imagine that you're trying to squeeze from inside to out, and you're activating your glutes here by tightening. But imagine that when you're trying to hold your bladder from urinating, right? And so we're trying to tighten and hold something, keep it upward, right? Up inside of our body. That's what it should feel like, okay? So that's what we're gonna try and do, is we're gonna try to activate those pelvic floor muscles that are deep inside here. And so it should be easy to recognize if your glutes are engaged and your trunk is up, okay? So we're gonna do the same thing, except now we're just going to activate our pelvic floor muscles. So head and shoulders up, scooping, tighten the glutes, and feel those muscles inside, holding, tightening, lifting, and come down. Let them go. Let the glutes go. Let's try it again. Up, squeeze. You'll feel a slight lifting of the glutes up off the mat, but that low back stays connected, and come on down. Good. One more time. Exhale up. Good. All right, you're gonna roll to your side, push yourselves up, come up to a seated position. All right, from here, we're gonna do a roll down. So the roll down is simulating coming back down off that roll up incline, upward position or movement to that decline or downward movement, okay? So the roll down, go ahead and bring your hands to your knees. keeping our legs bent, I'm going to collapse my spine. So that just means I'm letting it go, okay? Now, I'm going to pull my abdominal wall in, scooping, keeping my spine nice and flexed and rounded. Okay, there's flexion in that spine. And I'm just going to lean back, let go of the knees, hold here, and come up, hands on knees. All right, so we're gonna exhale as we lean back or roll down, scoop, round, collapse, come back, exhale, pull up, inhale, drop back, exhale, up, inhale, down, exhale, up, one more, pull it back, stay rounded, scooped, and up, good. Okay, next exercise is called a seated balance exercise, and this, again, so many variations to seated balance, okay? And we're just gonna keep it very simple today. Seated balance can be done with feet on the floor as well as off the floor, okay? So we're gonna actually start with our knees on the floor, and we're gonna do what's called a single leg pull. And so I'm going to focus on one leg at a time. So I'm gonna extend this left leg here slightly, keeping a slight flexion in the knee, and I'm going to keep this right leg bent here, okay, and grounded, foot on the floor. And so from here, seated balance, I can either sit up tall or I can collapse like we just practiced with the roll down, okay? And when I'm collapsed in this position here, we're really focusing on the scooping. So we're not just letting it go and just hanging out, right? We're doing something, okay? So from here, I am going to pull this knee in towards my trunk, and I'm going to extend it out again. I can connect my foot to the floor if I want. Staying in this scooped position, I'm going to pull this knee in and leg out. And in, and out, and in, and out, in, and out. You could place this hand down if you'd like, in, and down. You'll feel this at the top of the quad there, and out. Good. All right, bring that leg bent, and then just draw your trunk, relax a little bit, rest here. All right, right leg slightly extended. We're going to collapse and scoop. Here we go. I'm going to pull in, knee pull, leg out. In, and out. And in, and out. Continuous breathing, controlled breathing, scooping. So you'll feel fatigue in that low back for sure. Good. Okay. Let's extend both legs. And we're going to do what's called front stretch. So we're just going to alleviate some of that stress on that low back. Sitting up nice and tall, I'm going to extend my arms all the way up. My legs are together. So this is not a spine stretch like we've tested. Legs are together. I'm going to pitch forward at the hips, hinging forward as far as I can go, and then I'm going to pull my hands and scoop round my back as I pull my hands to the midline of my body, up the midline of my body, flatten my back out. Start again. Exhale over the top. Inhale, up. exhale. So this is dynamic stretching. Try to lead with your chest, your abdomen. Big breathing. So you should feel that lower back, the glutes, the hamstrings stretching, limbering. Good. Okay. Hope you're doing okay so far. I feel pretty good. Go ahead and bend your knees. We're going to come back onto our elbows. And we're going to lean back on our elbows. Okay? So from this position, we have many variations of this exercise on our elbows as well as on our hands. Today we're going to keep it really simple with a straight leg lift. So I'm going to extend my left leg down, keeping my right leg bent. Now, we're not just hanging out on the beach, right? Just hanging out in this position here. We're actually going to activate some muscles. And so that simply means that I'm going to lift my abdominal wall, my lower abs, my lower back, my lumbar area. I'm going to lift it up so that my rib cage is nice and high, okay? And my back is nice and flat, a little bit arched, that's fine. Hands are down, and I'm going to hold this position here. So there's some work being done here in my trunk. And so I'm going to lift my leg up just where my knee meets my other knee, and then I'm going to lower. Holding my back in that lifted position, I'm going to continuously breathe, controlled, tightening the muscles in my leg. I can point my toes. And it's controlled. It's a lift. It's not a kick. We're not relying on momentum. We're relying on strength. Good. All right, so let's extend the right leg. Still staying lifted here. We're going to lift the leg and lower. How deep can you breathe? How long can you exhale, blowing that air all the way out? I know your neck is sore. Stay with me. One more. Good. Bend the legs. You're going to push up. V position your legs. That just means widen your legs right outside your mat here. And this is where we go into spine stretch, and this is what we tested for in our assessment. So just like front stretch, but our legs are open. Arms outstretched. Exhale over the top. Head down. Pull it back, scooping. Up tall. One more. Good. All right, so next exercise, we're going to go ahead and bring our legs around to our sides. This is called mermaid. And so we're going to have this sort of stagger leg position. They're bent and they're off to the side, okay? So some of you are going to find this position very comfortable and easy, and then others will find this very uncomfortable and challenging, okay? But you're just going to find what's most comfortable for you to sit with your one cheek grounded to the mat, okay? It's not necessarily necessary that the other one be on the floor. That's okay. But we do want to make sure that our trunk is seated nice and tall, okay? So this position here might be uncomfortable for some of you, the outside hip. And so if that's the case, just play around with the position of your legs, okay? If that's way too uncomfortable and you would like to bring this leg in front, that's fine. Sometimes hips are really tight, and it takes just a little while to warm these up and limber these up, okay? So see what you can do in this position here. Sitting up tall, we're going to go ahead and place our hand on our shin of our outer leg, okay? And then I'm going to place my hand opposite on the mat here, right outside my hip, extended here, sitting up tall. So we want strong posture here. So there is no collapse of the spine or lower back or lumbar area, okay? We are sitting up tall, so that means that we need to push our hips forward. So hand is here. I'm simply going to disconnect from the mat, pulling on my shin. I'm going to sweep my arm over the top, assist myself into a side bend here, maintaining my posture, and then I'm going to return to the mat, connect to the mat, and I'm going to let go of my shin, sweep over the top, maintaining posture, side bend. I can bend this elbow if I want, side bend here, sweep back over the top, connect to the shin, let go of the mat, continuous breathing. Here we go. Stay seated tall. You should start to feel the hip slightly letting go. And that's just because of the stretching. Good. All right. So from here, we're going to switch the legs to the other side. So carefully, we're going to bring our legs to the other side. Again, just making sure you're careful with your movement when you're transitioning from one position to the next. Find your seated tall position, hand position, and I'm simply going to let go of my mat. Gently pull as I sweep. Connect, sweep. Tall posture. So mermaid has variations as well. So we'll learn so many different versions of so many different exercises in here. It's absurd. So 30 traditional exercises easily is translated into 60, 70 exercises just for variations. Okay, from here, from this mermaid position, we're going to turn over to our tummies, but before we do that, I like to center myself before I go over to my stomach. Since I was a little bit off angle, I'm going to bring my knees in front and center myself here with a knee hug. So I'm going to wrap my arms around my knees, and I'm just simply going to pull my chest towards my knees and bring my head down and relax my spine. So because my knees were off at a different angle, muscles start to compensate a little bit. We just want to really just go into this centering of our body before we turn over and transition to another exercise, okay? All right, so muscle memory, really important, you know, we need to get centered before we do anything crazy on our tummies. So from this point on, this part of the session is really focused more on back work, okay? There is a little bit of strength work involved, and always core is being activated, but we really are focusing on our back at this point. So go ahead and come over to your tummy. Again, being careful how you're feeling. We're going to do what's called a trunk lift, and we're lifting up onto our arms. So we are actually going to come up onto our arms. We're not lifting our arms, elevating our arms up off the floor. We're actually going to come up and support ourselves up onto our arms. So we're going to keep our hips down, keep our legs down. And so as I come up onto my arms, I'm going to focus on pressing my hips, my pelvis down into the mat, squeezing, activating my glutes, and pulling up onto my elbows. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to come up. And at this point, I should check whether or not my glutes are activated and my pelvis is pressing down into the mat. Okay, it is. I'm going to pull my abdominals inward, and then I'm going to come down. So I'm inhaling at the bottom and exhaling at the top. Here we go, lifting up. Coming down, inhaling. Lifting up. Coming down. Up. And down. One more time. Up. And down. Good. Okay, so go ahead and fold your arms. Bring your head down to the back of your hands or your wrists here. So the lower body is going to do the work now. So keeping our head down, I am going to lift one leg up at a time, but focusing on pressing my hips down. My glutes are activated. Abdominal wall is activated. Keeping my leg locked out and straight. Tightening the muscles of the leg. And then I'm going to lower. All right, and I'm going to lift the other leg. Up, press, activate, breathe. And down. Up. Down. Exhale up. Inhale down. Exhale up, other leg. Down, other leg, up, down. You should feel the muscles of the low back, lumbar area working. Up, down, one more time. Other leg, up, and down. Good. Bring your hands right outside your chest, and I'm going to press up. And I'm going to lower my hips down into low back stretch like we did in dynamic here. And I'm just going to stall out here. Just hold it here. I can bring my arms back if I want. Take some pressure off of the shoulders. I'm just sinking in to my hips, allowing my low back to release any tightness. So this is one of those static poses. We're not moving, we're just holding for a nice stretch. Or just recovery, right? Release. Okay, from here we're going to go into a low plank. So when I say a low plank, I mean on our elbows planking, okay? So we're going to go ahead and walk our hands out. I'm going to bring my knees back, and I'm going to bring my elbows down and connecting to the mat here. My toes are extended onto my mat, and from here I'm going to lift my knees up off of the ground. So from this held position here, I'm going to pull my abdominals up and in so that my back is stabilized, my glutes are engaged, and I'm breathing. And I'm going to drop one knee, lift, drop the other, lift, drop knee, lift, drop the other. Now I'm going to shift back onto my heels. So there's a little bit of a shift in my shoulders, in my arms, and my rear comes back and elevates a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and drop both knees and rest here. Okay? Controlled movement. Here we go. Lift up, knee drop, back is stabilized, flat, abdominals are engaged. Breathing. One more each side. Shift and back. Shift and back. Knees down. Good. Come up to what's called table position. Hands and knees. Sorry, I'm sweating. Table position. So hands and knees, and our back is nice and flat. Our abdominal wall is pulled up and in. I'm going to extend one leg out. So we do some leg work here. Lift one leg out behind us here. Holding this position here, nice and strong and supportive. Our back is stabilized. I'm going to lift my leg and lower it. Breathing continuously, lift and lower and up and down and up. So notice I don't arch my back or move my back. My trunk is stabilized, static, strong. One more. Up and down. Switch. Nice and controlled. Lift and down. And lift and down. Up and down. Up and down. Up and down. Up and down. One more. Up and down. Good. Bring that knee in. Kneel tall. All right, so kneeling tall, just making sure that our trunk is nice and tall, right? Strong posture. So we're in an exercise here called hip thrusts, working on postural muscles of our trunk, as well as some hip flexion. So it's dynamic. However, our quads and our hamstrings and our glutes are going to get some action here as well. Okay, so hip thrusts. So making it very simple. This exercise is versatile as well, but very traditional here, hip thrusts. So my arms are going to come forward as my hips pitch back. So this position here, it's a hinge, right? I'm hinging back, my pelvis is back here. My legs have lowered slightly, more bend in my knees. But I want to stabilize my back, so I'm pulling my abdominals up and in to keep my back flat in this position here. And then I pull my hips forward and I bring my arms down and I squeeze my glutes. I'm engaging here and my abdominal wall is still activated. So here we go. It's back and forward. Slowing it down. You can drop those hips down when you pull the hips back. A little more bend in the knees, that's fine. But there might be a little more stress on that low back. So just be careful of that. One more. Nice. All right, low back stretch. Let's release tension on that low back. From here, we're going to go over to our side. So I like to finish sessions with some side hip leg work. Obviously the trunk is involved, the core is involved. So remember, core is basically a big rectangle, the center of your body. It's not just your abs. Okay, we're going to come over to the side. We're going to do some leg work from here. Okay, so come all the way down. I'm going to bring this hand behind my head for support, and I'm going to bring this hand out in front. So I just want to make sure that my legs are in alignment with my trunk, so my body all is in one line. Okay. Now this is a strength exercise. We are not creating momentum, so depending on how you feel right now, just be aware of how those muscles are working and make sure you don't break form. Okay. So my hip is connected to the mat, and so I'm just making sure that that is connected the entire time, which means that I need to engage my core. So I need to tighten my glutes, I need to pull in my abdominal wall and tighten and hold here, and stay in control of the leg work that's going to occur, okay, by tightening those muscles. So hand out in front for balance. Flexing the muscles in the legs, I'm going to lift straight up from where it started. And from here, I'm going to lower. Okay? So notice that that was very slow in control because I was very aware of what's going on in my trunk. Okay. Now I'm going to point my toes as I lift, and I'm going to flex my foot as I lower. Point, lift, flex, lower. So even being more mindful, it forces you to slow everything down when it's more intricate, more detailed, more things going on. Be aware of your core muscles, be aware of your breathing. Let's do one more. Good. Okay, so bend your knees. Push this hand on the mat. Push. Come on up. We're going to turn to the other side. Be careful with this transition. Come on down. No reason to speed anything up. Okay, again, in alignment. Hand out in front. Pointed toes lift. Flexed foot lower. Lift. I have a hair on my foot. Lift. Be aware of the muscles that are engaged, activated, and breathing. So you should notice that your lumbar area, your hips, your low back are a little bit fatigued right now. So it's not just the leg doing the work. Good. One more. Bend your knees. Press up. Come to a seated position. All right. So from here, we're going to cool down with some exercises. And so we will always start with our cool down with seated, what's called seated accordions. Okay? So feet are in front, knees are bent, hands over knees. And I'm going to sit up tall, flattening my back, head is up. And then I'm going to release my back, head down, lean back, come up, flat back, collapse the spine, lean back, up, inhale here, down, exhale, let it go, inhale up, Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Good. All right, legs extended. We're going to finish with some arm exercises. So these are very created at the end to improve upon your strength on your arms and your shoulders, but also practicing good posture. Okay, so the exercises will change up pretty readily. Today we're just going to practice some traditional arm circles. So sitting up tall, I'm going to extend my arms all the way up, maintaining posture. I'm just circling. Nice controlled circles, tight through the arms. Back is supported with good posture. We're creating energy here, so we're breathing. You should feel the shoulders, front and back working here. We're going to reverse the direction, other way. Breathing. It's a great time to get big breathing in. Low back is a little fatigued, totally understandable. One more. Good. All right, hands down. Bend your knees. Knee hug, arms wrapped around. Release the back, head down. All right, you guys, so that is the closing of our first session. So good job. I hope you felt good about the work that you did today. And we're going to do a lot more, a lot of the same, some different exercises starting the next session. So just remember, it's a short week. So we had the assessment last time. We had this session, we have another session, and then we have our weekly connection, and that will be it for the week. So no submitting of anything. Do not download any of the videos on the Canvas. You're just simply watching it on the Canvas platform, and that is it. And so I will connect with you guys this week just to make sure that you're practicing the information that I've told you about as far as the instructions for the Canvas. So I'll be checking your viewing time, and if there's any problems with it, I'll reach out to you always in an email on Canvas, just requesting that you get back to me about whatever needs to be done. So I will see you next time. Good job.